You don't need 100 colors to make autumn landscapes magical. In fact, there's one watercolor set that gives such beautiful, muted tones that it changes everything. Let me show you. Hi, I'm Françoise. Welcome back to my channel, your space for watercolor and watercolor pencil art that's loose and realistic all at once. Today I'm using the Graphitint Pan Set by Derwent. These also exist in the form of water-soluble pencils, and their special feature is the graphite particles inside the paint. When the pans dry, you can even see a little shimmer if the light hits them. It's so unique. I'll be painting this for a scene, and as we go, you'll see exactly how these paints behave and why I think they're perfect for autumn and winter landscapes. I've used this set before. I also love the pencils, so I hope you enjoy this demo. For landscapes, it's always a good idea to start by blocking in large areas of color. I've wet the paper, and I'm starting with a shade called Autumn Brown. To me, it almost looks like a muted pink, and it's perfect for soft autumn tones. Look at how the paint spreads beautifully on wet paper. I add some meadow green as well, and it feels so natural and pleasant to work with. These colors are earthy, gentle, and they instantly look like true nature. I like to tap my brush to help me keep some whites on the page. Bright colors like autumn brown and meadow green are also essential in combination to the white in the paper, because many of the other shades in this set are going to be darker. So that is something to watch out for. I start splattering some paint because this creates natural gradients and it even suggests foliage. Overlapping colors is also a must for color harmony, so I add green to the ground areas where the brown already is. To build depth, I bring in a color called slate green. It's a little darker. And now I have a satisfying base, and one thing to note is these paints feel chalkier than traditional watercolors. So if you want a softer look in places, you can still easily smooth out the tapping marks with a clean and damp brush. But leaving some texture actually adds interest, and that's why I only do it on the right side. The result is a gorgeous textured effect and subtle autumn-like tones. Before we move on to the trees, a quick note is that I have a new watercolor course on painting forests coming very soon. We'll paint 10 different forest scenes, including one project using these graphitint paints or traditional watercolors if you prefer. And if you'd like to see more than these sneak peeks and be around when it launches, you can join my newsletter from the link in the description below. Now let's start placing the trees, and beginning with the far background will help create depth in the painting. With these paints, it's just like traditional watercolors. It's easy to get light and delicate trunks simply by adding more water. And the branches can fade softly into the distance with a clean and damp brush still. Nothing tricky here, except that these muted colors give the painting a beautiful atmosphere. For the far background, I use slate green because background colors should be less defined. If you think about it, colors seem bluish when you look at something that is far in the distance. Then, for the middle ground trees, I switch to autumn brown with more pigment so that they stand out more and also look closer as a result. At the base, I still add in my darker green, which makes them feel more realistic thanks to that color contrast between green and that pinkish brown. The key is balance with that kind of little trick, and that's the type of thing you'll learn to do and practice in my course. Now it's time to add more foliage, so I re-wet the sheet and I splatter again, and look at how effective that looks. It instantly looks like clusters of leaves over the branches I just painted. The green and the brown together work really well in this set. And now I can start reaching for a much darker color like slate green again. which is going to give more depth and contrast. For the front trees, I begin with autumn brown to keep some warmth and make sure that these don't end up looking just dark. Then I glaze over with steel blue, which is the darkest color in my chosen palette. Layering the two adds dimension, as you can see, so the trunks don't look flat. For the ground, I get a bit looser, messy even. It's also the kind of skill that I will teach you and help you practice. And here we need to learn not to be afraid to let accidents happen. That's often what makes forest floors look real, full of leaves, roots, and rocks. I even add a few rocks at this stage with thicker paint, which naturally reads as closer to us. Now, here's another reason why the graphitint paints really stand out from traditional watercolors, and I'm actually not happy with how I finished the painting because I kind of ruined the dreamy background, but that will be a good lesson for me and also you if you want to use them. So the graphitint are opaque enough that I can layer lighter tones over dark ones in a way that's kind of good. For example, adding green touches on top of a darker area or a brighter brown over the base. Now my problem here came with all the darks I added in the front. I think that part takes a bit much room in the entire painting and it overpowered the rest of it. And it would have happened too with traditional watercolors, except that with those you can easily lift them. With graphitint, lifting works, but it's harder. So it's going to be hard to add some light back if you feel that you went too dark or that there are too many dark areas. I didn't have that problem in the painting I made for the course, for instance, because there weren't many dark spots and instead a lot of light and bright ones, and I think that's where these paints perform the best, as you can see. I still managed to get some highlights, a bit too subtle though for my taste. I also got a slightly hazy effect in the background by wetting with clear water and lifting with a paper towel, and I loved that effect. And here's the finished painting. The colors, the texture, and especially the muted atmosphere makes it ideal for autumn scenes if we can avoid and let dark tones overpower the painting. Lesson learned. To try this out in real time, you may join my Patreon or just sign up to my newsletter and let me teach you all my tricks when it comes to gorgeous forest paintings. And to see those paints in action in another landscape, you can watch this older video. Thank you for watching and see you next time.